fine. So yeah, I just log into my AWS console. You can able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you so much. So if you say I will log into the AWS console, so if you don't have an account, try to create. Just search EC2. EC2 is nothing but a service provided by AWS to create a servers. Server is nothing but same like Windows operating system. In if you remember in childhood we used to purchase cycles for rent, right? In the same way, AWS also providing that feature as a rent. They are providing servers as a rent. You can use that servers and you can terminate that server when after completing your work. So if you see, I just stopped that server. So now I will not use that. I will create new server because I want to show you from scratch. So I will take a Ubuntu server and I will take high-end server. So if you see in the childhood you used to go for taking rent for a cycle, right? If you are taking a cycle with like a Ranger, you will be having depending upon that cycle you will be having huge price. So in the same way here, depending upon your memory and CPU, you will get cost. So if you T2 micro is nothing but you will get very low cost. So let me take high-end server because I am going to use like I will not get any issue. If I get a huge memory, even if there is a huge load, my server will survive. So I am taking T2 medium. So in AWS, if you want to log in, you need to use key to log in. How we are using key for our houses, right? In the same way, server is also protected with key. Now let me click on launch instance. Let me go to instances. Right now let me give a name called as Jenkins. Save. Let me go to my folder. So you need to go to the folder where your PEM file. So by default it will be in downloads. What I did, I copied that PEM file to my local system. Let me go to that folder. So inside this Terraform folder, if you see, my eks.pem file was located. So if you don't have Git software in your system, try to install. Whenever you install a Git software, you will be getting an option called as Git Bash here. So as a DevOps engineer, you need to install Git Bash and Visual Studio Code in your system. Now what I will do, I will just click on connect. I will copy this and paste. Yes. So I am logging into the server. How you are get, if you see, Ubuntu at that IP address. Now what I will do, I will, whenever you want to install any software in Ubuntu, you need to update the packages. So now I will install Java because Jenkins was built in Java. So without Java, Jenkins will not work. So that's the reason mandatorily you need to install Java. So what I will do, sudo apt install openjdk -11 -jdk -y. You no need to by heart this. Okay, even if you Google it, you will get, because I have done many times. That's the reason it's came to my memory. So after installing Java, I will install Jenkins. How you will install Jenkins? Just search Jenkins install and you will get the official documentation. So if you see installing Jenkins. So where you want to install? I want to install into Linux server. Which type of Linux server? You will be having different flavors. Like in the ice cream also you will be having different flavors, right? Butterscotch. In the same way, in Linux also you will be having different flavors. We are using right now Ubuntu. Everything will be same. Only the taste will be different. Ice cream is same. Taste will be different. In the same way, for every flavor they are just edited. Linux is an open source OS. What they did, they taken that Linux and they have do some edit and they have changed the total UI and they call their own names. So these are the steps to install Jenkins. So before installing Jenkins, I will install Maven. Maven is a build tool which will help us to create a package. So Maven is also built in Java. So that's the reason Java is compulsory for Maven as well. So sudo apt install. So if I get an error, don't worry. If I get an error, I will try to solve that error in front of you itself. So as a DevOps engineer, we are paying an amount for troubleshooting. Nothing but if there is any issue you got, you need to troubleshoot that. Majority of work will be depends on that itself. Sometime pipeline will fail. So at that time you need to go and see why it was failing. Majority it may be configuration issue, it might be the code written by the developer, or there will be many multiple reasons we cannot judge. Right, Maven was installed successfully. Let me check mvn-v. Right, Maven was installed successfully. So I have installed Java, I have installed Maven, right? Now I will install Jenkins. So everything whatever I am doing, I will provide a documentation. You don't need to worry about that. Step by step, whatever I am executing the commands, right? I will write notes and I will provide. So if you see what he is doing, he is downloading a key related to Jenkins. Without key, Jenkins cannot able to install. Then after what he is doing, he is trying to add the Jenkins related information into this apt/sources.list. Nothing but in Ubuntu, apt is a repository where you can store information about your softwares. So apt is a package manager. What is an apt? Package manager for installing any type of software. But in apt by default there will be some softwares was predefined. So if you see, I have just executed, right? I just executed sudo apt install Maven. You can ask me, but you can also do that same, right, for sudo apt install Jenkins. Yes, I can do, but Jenkins information by default in apt repository it is not present. So that's the reason what we are doing, we are executing some commands to add information related to Jenkins. That's the reason these are the two steps I need to follow. I need to add into apt repository. Apt is about folder, you can imagine /etc/apt. After adding that information, just update the packages. Then after if you execute sudo apt install Jenkins, it will work, because Jenkins information is not present in the apt repository. That's the reason we need to execute the two steps. Maven information is already present. That's the reason we no need to do extra steps. You need to just execute sudo apt install Maven, it will work out. In the same way, Java is also work out, because Java and Maven information is already present in the apt repository. But Jenkins is a third party software, it's an open source application. Jenkins information is not present. That's the reason we are executing two more steps. We are intentionally adding the information about Jenkins in the repository so that apt can able to find out. So after completing the installation, so this is the wonderful documentation I just found, right? Using GitHub, this is the pipeline we are going to create: Jenkins, Maven, Docker, right? You will push the image to Docker Hub. Then after using that, you can deploy that into the Kubernetes cluster. So if you see, he has done same thing. Java installed after Jenkins, he has installed the Jenkins. Right, then after copy the public IP address. So this will not, I just provided you because it was helpful for you. That's the reason I just provided. Anyway, I am going to provide you the cluster clear nodes. Before that you can just watch that. Now what I need to do, I need to copy the public IP address, colon 8080. So Jenkins dashboard was ready. So before continuing, he is asking the password. By default password was present in this location. So varlib Jenkins secrets. So what I need to do, I need to execute sudo cat. So this is the password. I need to just blindly copy this. I need to paste here. Then after it will ask us to create your own password. So first it will ask the plugins. So install plugins by Jenkins community finds most useful. So suggested plugins. Just click on install suggested plugins. It will install the plugins which is necessary for Jenkins. By default there will be some plugins. Like if you purchase a mobile, by default you will be having some applications, right? By default you will get some applications provided by company. In the same way, Jenkins also will have some by default plugins. So it will just add that plugins. So it will take some time before that. So now let me open the notepad. I will briefly explain what we have done right now. So install Java, Maven, Jenkins and Docker. So if after installing this, but in reality in the companies already everything was by default present and the pipeline also already present. So your job will be as a DevOps engineer, you just monitor the pipeline and edit or configure depend upon the requirement. Job will be very easy, but entering into this DevOps it will be very difficult because they will ask you a questions related to all tools. But in reality you will work only not only in DevOps, in software industry, right? You just work only 2 to 3 hours.
I have one question here.
Yes.
Okay. In company for any new project, who will set up the infrastructure?
Good question. If it is new project, it's DevOps engineer responsibility. If it is old project, you will just manage. If it is new project, it's your responsibility to set up. So if you see, before joining Wipro, before working Wipro, I joined in a startup which is a very slow, like small company. There I got a requirement to set up testing environment in AWS cloud. I got a testing environment, total testing environment. He just provided me Excel sheet of server names, like what are the names I need to give for every server. Excel sheet of server name plus instance types. They will provide what instance types I need to create plus required softwares, what softwares I need to install. So he told me that on every some on every server he told me to install. So you can whatever I'm telling, right, you can add into your roles and responsibilities. You can tell that have implemented a testing environment from scratch. So I'm telling you testing environment. You don't tell testing environment. So you tell that dev environment. For developer, they need a environment. I have created a development dev environment. So if you tell the testing, it's will be like they will not believe, because testing will be done. So yeah, on every server he said Java compulsorily, Java, and they have provided many softwares. I am not remember, as per company policy some we need to reveal. Java and Docker will be mandatory on every server, because everything will be managed using containers. That's the reason he told Java and Docker compulsory on servers. How many servers I have created? I have created total 11 servers. On testing environment there is 11 servers. So if they ask in the interview how many servers are present in your testing in development environment, so coming to development also there will be 11, testing will be also 11, but production it might be 22, 25, like that. You can tell that like that. Production, coming to production, there will be high servers, and you can tell that production will be having huge servers, and it's a defined and auto scaling, so that depending upon the traffic it will be automatically scaled and scaled down. But at present there is a 25 servers. If there is a huge traffic, this 25 server may go to 34 or 35, depending upon the request. It will go to 34, 35. If there is no request, it will come down to 25. So just note down whatever I am speaking. And
Pawan, here while configuring Jenkins here now, while installing Jenkins, you did
okay,
not configure security group part. Even though you are able to access the Jenkins through IP address, how is it possible?
bro. While creating the server, if you observe, I have selected a security group, right? While creating the server, I have selected a security group. Which security group I have selected? All traffic. If you go to the security group, if you go to the inbound rule, edit inbound rule, what I defined? I defined all traffic. That means it will allow all ports. I
Okay.
no need to define specifically for Jenkins. As we are doing practice, I am just allowing everything. I am
So
allowing all traffic.
while creating instance only, we have to allow all traffic in inbound and outbound both sides.
In security group, you will just provide inbound. There is no outbound.
Okay. Okay.
Outbound will be present on NACL, network address, uh, in NACL. It's a security at a subnet level.
Subnet level.
Yeah, NACL.
In security group, what will happen na, when we allow inbound or outbound, the other port already automatically opens, but in NACL we have to define like this.
Yeah, network access control list, NACL. So for controlling traffic in and out of subnet. So password whatever you want you can give. Full name, try to give your name. I just giving dummy names. Save and finish. Start using Jenkins. So Jenkins, I have created a Jenkins, right? But Jenkins will not have all permissions. So whenever you install Jenkins, after install Jenkins, by default a Jenkins user will be created. Okay, by default whenever you install Jenkins, in the background it will create a Jenkins user as well. So whatever you are running jobs, right, in this dashboard, it will not run as a Ubuntu user. Whenever I create any jobs, it will run as a Jenkins user. So Jenkins user will not have all permissions. We need to add permissions to Jenkins user. In Linux, if you want to add give permissions, you need to go to vi sudo file or sudoers file. So here I need to add the I am telling to Linux operating system. Hey, Linux operating system, there is a Jenkins user, he doesn't have any permissions. Try to give the permissions. So I am giving all permissions. Whatever you execute. So try to give the permissions and don't ask for password. Whenever you try to log in anything, don't ask for password. For everything, don't ask a password. So Control X. Yes. Enter.
This is what we do in real time also, means in real environment, give all permission and all no password like this.
So if it is already set up, you are not going to touch. If it is a newly environment you are going to create, then you will do. But like sometimes you will create a users in Linux, sometimes you will change the permissions of particular folders. So yeah, some Linux operations you are going to do. But yeah, whatever I said, right, like for suppose there will be some newly created users will be there. For that user, if you want to give a sudo permissions, so at that time definitely you are going to do that. Everything will be depends. Sometimes you will get a new tasks, so you no need to worry about that. That task was already done by some people. You just need to search. You need to have a knowledge of how to search and how to find out the solution. So whatever it may be, you just Google it, you will get some hint. Depending upon that, you will complete that task. So yeah, now I will install Docker. Jenkins was set up, so I have done this. Vi, I have added this inside the sudo. If you see, I have added same thing, right? So if you want, you can log in to the Jenkins user. Just command will be sudo su Jenkins. If you see, now before I was in Ubuntu user, now I am in Jenkins user. So I want to install Docker. So command will be sudo apt install docker.io s, and just check Docker version. Right, Docker was installed. Now let me check. Docker ps is nothing but how many containers are running. If you want to see, that is the Docker ps command. Hey, what happened? Got permission denied. While trying to connect to Docker daemon socket, right? Permission denied. So if I do sudo Docker ps, sorry, spelling mistake. Now it is working. So there is no permission for Jenkins user to execute Docker commands. So as a DevOps engineer, we need to provide. So sometimes developer will tell, so whenever I execute this command, I am not getting permission denied. So as a DevOps engineer, you need to help the developer. So they don't know. I am telling, right, in the companies there will be people who are very dumb. They don't know anything. For silly things also they were going to approach us. So then, so if you see usermod -a capital G Docker Jenkins, this command meaning was try to modify the user. Which user? Jenkins user. Add Docker, add Jenkins user to the Docker group, so that Jenkins will have all permissions to execute Docker related commands. So this is the Linux basic commands you need to know. So if you see -ag nothing but add group Docker. So I am adding Jenkins to the Docker group. That's it. Using this command, you need to understand every command. Some people will just blindly copy paste. You can do copy paste, I am not telling, but at least you need to identify why we are using that command, what is the purpose of that command. So now let me go to instances. I just restarted. If you see, I just executed reboot, nothing but server will be restarted, because Docker permissions need to be updated, so restart is compulsory. So for restarting it will take time, right? I am telling that 2 or 3 hours. It only applicable for MNC company. So if you go to startup, it depends upon the project, depends upon, in the MNC also it will be depends upon the project. So if you go to startup, yeah, there will be no like process. You need to do everything, whatever they give, you need to do. So like if you see, whenever you attend interview, just try to research about that company. So if you see the .wipro.com, and before that there is a mywipro.wipro.com. So it will convert to .wipro.com. So it will ask me to log in. Okay, so it's my Wipro portal to capture the attendance, everything, whatever, my salary hikes, my pay slips, everything will be present in this portal. So let it, and I don't want to reveal that. So whenever you want to do Wipro, you can search reviews, or you can see employee, just search employee count. So whatever companies you are attending, try to choose the company, at least it should be 500 or 1000 plus employees should be present. So if it is 1000 plus, it will be comes under startup. Don't go for the companies very less, because if something happens, company will be shut down. So it will be create an impact for your career. So if you see 2,40,000, so nothing but it's a very big number. So there will be very less chances of of me from removing the company. So every MNC companies, they will not remove you. Even if you are not performing, they will migrate you to some other projects, but they are not going to remove you from the company. So they will remove only, we need to kept a reason, then only they are going to remove. If you, even if you are not doing performance, they will try to add you to the project where you are comfortable. So in the same way, depending upon the companies, if you are joining the companies with 50,000 plus employees, then it comes under mid-scale companies. Nothing but not a MNC. You can treat it as a mid-scale MNC company. Now, yeah, let me log in into that server again. I think it has restarted. Instances, Jenkins, connect. copy. So it should not take this much of time. Okay. Yeah, can you able to see my screen?
It's getting stuck.
Okay, now is it okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to log in into my server. Right, I am inside my server. So let me see Java hyphen version mvn hyphen v, right, docker info. So Ubuntu user doesn't have a permission, so I've given permission to this Jenkins user, right, sudo su hyphen Jenkins. Let me log in into the Jenkins user, because whatever jobs I am running, it will run as a Jenkins user. So you need to give space. Now let me execute docker command. Devops docker info, right? Jenkins user can able to do the docker commands. If the same thing, if you want to use in docker user, what you need to do, you need to execute the same command, this command. So where docker, so this command usermod -ag docker, you need to give the, in the place of Jenkins you need to give the Ubuntu, so that Ubuntu user will get a total permissions. So yeah, Naveen and like Raj, if you don't understand this, don't worry, we are going to start docker, right? At that time you will get full clarity.
This is understanding following.
Okay.
So yeah, now what I will do, I will just create a SPC project. I will click on pipeline. So it will asking me to log in again. DevopsEasy. So whatever the password you have given, give it password, username and password. Right, just click on new item, give the project name, select the job type, okay. Right, you can select the direct pipeline script from source code management, and you can give the which type of source code management, and you can give the URL of your project, right. But right now I'm not doing to do that. I will write directly a pipeline script. So now let me go to github.com/DevopsEasy. So if you see, there is a game of life, spring picnic, my app. So not this, so this I've already explained, but this one will be done, but I want to show you some other sub projects. So if you go to DevopsEasy, go to repositories, so just click on star agile. So yeah, insurance project, just copy this. So these are the code I'm going to use. So if you see, by default Jenkins file was present in this, Docker file was present in this. So this was created by me 2 months before. Now what I will do, I will go to Visual Studio Code, Jenkins file 1. So if you see, inside the git URL I have given this. So let us do step by step. I don't want to go hurriedly. First I will add one stage, then after let us add step by step another stages. So it will fail, okay, because I doesn't done any configuration. So pipeline I have given agent. I am telling that try to run any on any server. So docker up credential I have given docker underscore cred. So docker credential is not configured, I know, right? Let me just click on save, let me run. It will fail, I know, because I doesn't done any configuration of docker, right? Failed. Whenever failed, you know it, you should not worry. So if you see error docker cred, okay, depending upon that you need to identify, okay, I have done any configuration related to docker. So just go to dashboard, manage Jenkins, credentials, click on global, add credentials. What is the username of your, I told you, right? Try to create an account on dockerhub.com. So this is the Docker Hub where you will store your Docker images. So yeah, as I said, Naveen and Raj, we are going to discuss this deep dive. You will get an idea.
Okay.
So try to create an account. Okay, if you don't have an account, try to create an account. You just need to give the username and email and password. That's it. Your account will be created.
Okay.
So in this you can search any image. Like if I search Ubuntu, I will get the Ubuntu image, right? So try to create an account. I have already created an account with the, whenever you create an account, it will ask you an username. So try to give that username here. What is my username? I have created a with username called as DevopsEasy. So what is the password I have given while creating an account? I need to give that password. I don't want to relive that, it's my personal. So coming to ID as you asked, so let me try to use the same ID which I have given here, docker underscore cred, right? My pipeline got failed.
Yes.
Docker underscore cred, save. Right, now let me try to go there, SPC project. I will try to run. Even if it is failed, we should not worry, we need to work to solve that. Again failed. Couldn't find any revision to build, verify the repository and branch configuration for this job. Git tool is none. So again let me go to the project. Let me go to configure. What are the mistakes I have done? SCM checkout.
Did we configure Maven?
No, we didn't configure. We doesn't go on to the step of build. So if you go to pipeline syntax, just open link in new tab. So this is the snippet generator. So if you click on Git, here you can give the repository URL. What is the repository URL? right? What is the branch? If it is private, you can provide the credential. Just generate pipeline script. Now I will try to give this, where I will remove this. Inside this, let me replace this. Even if it is fail, we are going to learn. Build now. So if whenever you fail, right, just copy that error, search Google. Just you will get too many people who are helping. Just go there and they will give some hint to resolve that issue. So if you see, he is telling us to add branch and URL. Now I will do the same thing. He is just telling us to, you are giving the repository URL, but what about the branch? How I will get the information about the branch? Sometimes this GitHub like pipeline will also update it. Sometimes previously whenever I give that, it should be worked, but now sometimes Jenkins will also update some configurations and all. So I given git branch. What is the branch name? Let me go there. My branch name was, yes, main. Okay, right, then after he is telling to give the URL. So like this you need to resolve. I am doing intentionally mistakes sometimes because you should know how to work. So whenever you get an error, you need to smartly search, right? Git branch again. If it is fail, we are going to resolve that. Yeah, super, it was success, right? Now let me try to configure. Go to configure. Let me do some configuration in my original code which I have written here, because I will forget again. I will do same mistake. So I need to copy this. I need to replace this in my code which I already written. So here you should not give only URL, you need to give the branch information as well. So this is the right command. Then after I will add the Maven stage. So Maven is a tool which help us to create a package. So developer has written the code, right? After getting the code, if I give the same code to the customer, will it good? So for suppose if I given a setup file, let me go to downloads. If I give a setup file programs, if I give a setup file called as Git or Python or VLC media player or Visual Studio Code, if I give a setup to my customer, will it be easy or will I give this directly code? If I give a setup, you can able to install it, right, going step by step. If I give directly code, you don't know how to compile that code, how to create a package. So we are just creating the package in package format. Setup file is nothing but a package format. Same thing we are doing that. So you can do it, but if you want to do fastly, there is a tool called as Maven. He will do for you in the background. You need to execute some command, that's it. So just execute mvn package. I am just ignoring some failures. If there is some test failures, just ignore. Mvn clean package. Right? let me just click on save. Let me again build now. If it might fail, or it should not fail, because Maven was already installed. Sometimes it will success, sometimes you need to configure. If it is fail, I will configure. So just one thing I want to do, I want to explain. So when you just log in, if you want to test whether it is failed or success, just to go to sudo su hyphen Jenkins, execute command here, docker info. So if it is working in this Jenkins user, automatically it should work on the UA as well. So mvn version, sorry, it's a wrong command, I think. mvn-v. So if it is working here, automatically it should work on Jenkins as well, right? It is worked. Sometimes if it is not worked, you need to configure that Maven, but here it is working. So build was successful. Finished, success. Let me go to SPC project. So now you asked about Jenkins. Default variables. So if you see, I have told you, right, these are the default variables. I don't know, like someone asked me, right, try to show that default variables. So if you see, if you want to use build number, build ID, build display name, job name, build tag, node name, node labels, Jenkins home directory, Jenkins URL, these are the predefined variables provided by Jenkins. Depending upon your requirement, you can use that in your pipeline script. So if you say I'm using build underscore number, from where I'm getting, by default Jenkins has provided that. So current build number, so from current build number, nothing but, so this is the build number. Now let me go to configure. Now let me try to add this another stage. Right, what I am doing, I am just executing, checking the Docker was present or not, Docker version. Then after, what I am doing, using Docker build command, I am creating a Docker image. So from where I am creating Docker image, for that already Docker file was present on that project folder. So if you go to this project, Docker file was already written. So what you need to do, you just go to DevopsEasy/*agile today, just click on fork. So automatically this project will be added to your repository, your account. Then after, what you need to do, you need to edit and you need to write your Docker file. So I just taken one Java image because it's a Java project. I have taken the Java image. I have just used argument. Argument is nothing but type of variable in Docker. And I just, what I am doing, I am copying the jar file into the location inside the container. Then after, I am just running that jar file so that my application will start working. So if you want run Java based application, the command will be java-jar. That's it. Simple Docker file. So what I did, I have just build and given the name. Then after, I just see in the list of images. Then after, I changed the name to v1. Just click on. So it try to give the repository name in the Docker Hub. Try to go and Docker Hub, create an account, create a repository. Try to give that repository name. Don't give my name. my repository. Let me click on build now. It will not fail because Docker was working. If you see in the Jenkins user, I already execute Docker command. It is working. So if it is working in terminal Jenkins user, automatically it should work on the Jenkins UI part as well. If it is failing here, then automatically there is some mistake. You need to configure that. So how I am written this pipeline, I already explained you the skeleton. You need to remember that. So it is successful. Now if you go to Docker Hub, right now I am not login. Let me log in. So if I log in, it will ask some OTP and all. I don't want to do that, but it is successful means. Now let me go again to configure. So compared to yesterday, today I think you are getting somewhat understanding. I am not expecting you to understand everything. So I will push it to the Docker Hub. Just click on save, build now. So what we are doing here, I am logging into my Docker account. Then after I am taking some approval before pushing that Docker image to the Docker Hub.